Hey everybody, Mr. Dow here. Today we're going to talk about inductive and deductive reasonings. This is a type of way to come up with logical conclusions in geometry. Inductive reasoning is conclusions based on past observations, or you're noticing patterns. For instance, maybe you go to the cafeteria for several weeks in a row and you notice that they always have pizza on Friday. So after 4 or 5 weeks of doing so, you decide, you know what, I would like to have pizza on Friday. You bring in some extra money because you know they're going to have pizza. You've made your decision on patterns. Deductive reasoning is another type of reasoning. These conclusions are based on statements of fact or truths. We've talked about several things using deductive reasoning, including definitions, postulates, and theorems. I know that if I drop a heavy weight on my foot, from fact, my foot is going to be injured and then begin to hurt afterwards. Here's an example that I'll give you a moment to read on your own. This is an example of inductive reasoning. Hope is noticing the pattern that every time she goes to the Humane Society, she begins sneezing afterwards. She's making her conclusion that she may be allergic to cats based on the repetitive pattern of sneezing after she goes every single time. A mechanic who would try to figure out what's wrong with your car is going to actually use deductive reasoning. He's going to say, well, is this component of your car working? No. Well, that's a fact. That leads me to believe that this part of the car is broken. This is what I need to replace. A doctor may also use deductive reasonings to diagnose patients. He uses the fact that you have a runny nose and a sore throat to deduce that you have a cold. Here are some classroom exercises that I would like you to copy down on your own and write the answers. For these two problems, please tell whether we're using inductive or deductive reasoning. You may have to hit pause to give yourself a moment to copy down the problems and come up with the answers. For your next set of questions, I would like you to write down the following sequence of numbers and then try to guess the next two numbers that you would see. Again, I will give you a moment to write down the problems. Feel free to hit pause to leave the screen frozen. For the following set of questions, let's accept the two statements in front of you as given information. I want you to make a conclusion based on deductive reasoning. If you can't come up with a conclusion, just simply write none. If I've been going too fast through any of these questions, you can hit rewind or hit pause accordingly. Question number 9, we can see that if Chan is older than Pedro, and at the same time Pedro is older than Sarah, a reasonable conclusion to make would be that Chan is older than Sarah. If you recall, this is actually an example of the transitive property. So your answer should be Chan is older than Sarah. Here are several more exercises. I would like you, for each exercise, to write the equation that you think would come next. then check that the left side actually does either add, subtract, or multiply to give you the right side of the equation. Simply follow the pattern here to complete the sequence. This concludes the presentation. At this point, you should have plenty of notes written down on inductive and deductive reasoning. And if you use your powers of deductive reasoning, you'll know that I'm going to collect this for points. That's a fact. You should have all of these questions written down and all of the answers accordingly.